Hey guys, today I want to talk about the challenges that people go through after they've chosen to go no contact with family members that are possibly toxic. Okay. And this video is inspired by a comment that I read on my channel. I'm actually going to read it directly. It's from Inner Monk that says, can you explain why after no contact with my parents and they haven't communicated with me, why I feel thoughts of anger towards them, specifically about what happened in the past, instead of being happy and in peace. I also feel confused about feelings of guilt after not contacting them. Okay, if that question or that thought resonates with you, then you're going to want to watch this video. Let's get started. For those that don't know me, my name is Michelle. I'm a life and relationship coach. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet together live weekly and we work through all of the side effects of narcissistic abuse, complex PTSD, and codependency together. And if that's something that resonates with you, here's a link for you to check it out. Okay, so first of all, excellent question. There's so much emphasis. There's so much emphasis on, okay, if somebody's toxic, go no contact, protect yourself. And I'm not saying that that information isn't important, because it is. There are times where we have to evaluate if a relationship, regardless of who it's with, whether it's causing more harm than good. And if it's hurting you more than it is helping you, sometimes the only option to protect yourself is going no contact. But what we have to remember is that no contact is not the end of the healing journey. It's not the solution to feeling good after narcissistic abuse. It's actually only the first step. Going no contact is removing yourself from the environment. And I think a lot of times what happens is that people expect to be ecstatic right away, right? You're no longer being abused. That's a positive thing. You would think you would be happy and excited and just living in the moment and enjoying your life. And a lot of people wind up like this person that commented. They're full of anger. They're full of emotions that are stealing their happiness. And that sucks, right? Because it's bad enough to be in an environment where you're being abused and you're feeling all these negative emotions, but to be removed from that environment and to still be suffering, that's not a good place to be. So I want to explain why that happens, as well as what you can do about it. Okay, so let's talk about anger after narcissistic abuse, okay? Our feelings are always communicating with us. If we're feeling anger, it's because something is unresolved inside. And what we have to understand with anger is that it's a secondary emotion. We feel it because it kind of helps us to feel a little bit more powerful. When we're angry, there's more power than when we're in pain, right? So it's an emotion that tries to hide more vulnerable emotions from us. And the reason they're coming up, those vulnerable emotions that are coming up that are fueling the anger that you have, is because removing yourself from the toxic situation stopped the abuse, but it didn't heal the past abuse. Okay. And the pain that was inflicted from the past has to be resolved in order for it to stop kind of following you and coming up inside of your body. Basically, what's happening is the unresolved and invalidated pain that you've gone through throughout those years of being with the narcissistic person is coming up because it wants you to resolve and heal it. And that's the next step. So leaving is the first step. The next step is resolving the pain, validating your experience. We tend to think that the only person that can validate it is the person that hurt you, right? If they say, I'm sorry, we kind of hinge healing on an apology or some kind of acknowledgement from the other person that, if they're narcissistic, will never come. That doesn't mean that those emotions have to live inside of you, invalidated for the rest of your life. But you have to take the time to work through that invalidated pain. Another reason why the anger can come up is because what you went through created core wounds inside of you. And what I mean by core wounds is that somewhere along the line, you were forced to see yourself differently than how you really are. So some of the common core wounds that come from narcissistic abuse are the beliefs, I'm bad. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm less than others. I don't matter. So if those core wounds are still inside of you, and again, who you are today on a logical level, you might know that you are worthy. You might like yourself who you are today. But if the core wounds from the past aren't healed, they create emotions like pain, shame, helplessness, insecurities. And those vulnerable emotions come up in our body, and then anger steps in to kind of protect us from those vulnerable emotions. And what anger does is it keeps us focusing on the other person. The job of anger, it thinks it's helping you because it starts causing you to look at the other person. Look what they did. They did this and they did that. And she said this. And can you believe she did that? And we got all this anger coming up, and it's focused at the other person. And our brain thinks that's helping us because by doing that, we are not feeling the pain, the shame, the helplessness, the insecurity. The problem with that is by protecting us from those vulnerable emotions, we never heal them. We stay in a loop of the emotions stay alive within us. They fuel the anger. We look at the other person and what they did, and we're spinning around and around. The way to break out of that loop is to stop looking at the other person, to get in touch with those core wounds, to get in touch with that invalidated pain, and to upgrade and rewire and heal from the side effects of what they caused you or who they caused you to see yourself as. When you heal those core wounds and you validate that past pain, and that's when you start getting back in touch with your authentic self. Narcissistic abuse separates you from your authentic self. You're not allowed to be who you really are. There's a lot of pain in that. So healing is, yes, about removing yourself from the toxic person, but then it's about getting in touch with that authentic self, living in harmony with the beliefs of your authentic self, not the limiting negative beliefs that the narcissist put into you. So that means that you have to do the inner work. And sometimes we can get this thought like, God, I got to do so much. You know, they did this to me and I have to do so much inner work to heal. Well, if you look at it like that, I mean, that's kind of limiting, and that's going to keep you from giving yourself what you need. It does suck. It does suck to have to go through relationships with people that cause so much damage. I mean, that's a reality. But you deserve to give yourself whatever you need so that you can heal and move forward and live your life as your real self. Okay, so if you want to let go of the anger, you have to be willing to do the inner work. Now, I have a recorded workshop. It's $25. I'll leave the link here. It was all about this topic on how to let go of anger from the past and the resentment that usually follows in its shadow. It's got some awesome tips in that workshop video. Take your focus and put it on you, and you won't regret it. And if you still need help, if you're still struggling, you might want to check out the Thriver School of Transformation, because we work through this together and we meet live weekly, and we learn how to put the tools into practice in a more personal way. So if you need some more personalized assistance, there's that as well. But either way, I promise you that if you look within and you start working through the wounds, you start bandaging and healing the wounds that were inflicted from the past, you will be able to focus on your present life and on creating the future that you really want.